Hello and welcome to the Commander's Quarters, your Magic the Gathering source that helps you command your budget. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG Player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support. Hey everyone, Mitch coming in for the Commander's Quarters studio. Welcome to the show. So this, let's just call it a pre-spoiler season for Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, has been, well, let's just say pretty unique. I mean, yesterday we saw even more really cool spoilers, or should I say again, potential spoilers. These have not been officially confirmed, but we keep seeing more and more of them, like Kami of Transience, Mukatai, Soul Ripper, and Light Paws, Emperor's Voice. And if you haven't seen that episode, make sure you check that one out at some point, but not before you stay tuned to this episode, because we've got yet another exciting, again, potential spoiler. And that spoiler today is Goro-Goro, Disciple of Ryusei, and yeah, this is a crazy awesome Goblin Samurai. Yes, now such a thing does exist, like a Goblin Samurai. I believe this is actually the first one in Magic history, but please, in the comments below, let me know if I'm incorrect. Again, I am really excited about this new spoiler, so I didn't really have time to go triple check that, and I probably should have before actually starting recording this, but it's too late now, so let's jump into it. So first up, a big thank you to Eddie for making me aware of this spoiler, and this is the lovely grainy image that we are now so acquainted with that keeps showing up on Reddit and other places on the internet. But yes, very grainy quality, but I should not be complaining again. A potential spoiler is a potential spoiler, so of course I have used MTG.design, once again, a fantastic custom card creating website, and here we go. Goro-Goro, Disciple of Ryusei, a custom card version. It's a 2/2 legendary Goblin Samurai that costs 1 in a red, and it has pay a red, creature you control gain haste until end of turn. And by paying 3 red, create a 5/5 red dragon spirit creature token with flying, activate only if you control an attacking modified creature. Now again, I want to reiterate that this is not a confirmed spoiler, so we do not know if this is real or not, though again with all the other spoilers that we have seen, it seems like this one, again like all the other ones, is probably legitimate. Regardless, just take everything I say with a grain of salt, please, and come to your own conclusions. That being said, this is a really spicy card, a low-to-the-ground Goblin Samurai Commander that can give your creatures haste, and also is like, hey, do you want some, like, dragon spirit creature tokens with flying? Awesome, let's do this. Now, it does mention you have to have an attacking modified creature, and what exactly is that? Well, really quick, let's jump over to another previous, again, not confirmed spoiler that actually has a not confirmed translation, but modified seems to be this. That card says deals X damage to target creature or planeswalker. If you control a modified creature, deal X damage plus 2 damage instead. And that reminder text for modified is creatures that are equipped, enchanted, or have counters are modified. So modified, kind of like historic, is kind of like a new game term that just basically groups certain things and it just brings them together. Kind of like how historic is like, hey, artifacts, artifacts, legendaries, and sagas are historic. And this one's like, all right, modified things are things that are either equipped, enchanted, or have counters are modified. So basically, things that have been changed. Notably, this does not count creatures that are mutated for whatever reason. I mean, that might just overcomplicate it, but still, all right, that's probably what modified is. Again, none of this is confirmed. I have to keep saying that because, again, Wizards doesn't confirm these kinds of things. Regardless, back to the actual card, Goro-Goro. Again, that activated ability, pay 3 red, and actually that part was kind of hard to see, but I believe it's a 3. Please let me know in the comments below if that's incorrect. Anyways, create a 5/5 red dragon spirit creature token with flying. Activate only if you control an attacking modified creature. So that is actually a decent restriction. You just can't get those dragons willy-nilly. I mean, of course, first of all, you got to pay 5 mana, but again, 5 mana on an activated ability to make a 5/5 flyer is really good. Especially one that, you can do over and over again. You don't have to, tap this for the activation. You can just keep paying as much mana as you have, in variables of 5 to get more and more dragons. Again, as long as you've got a creature that's either equipped or has a counter on it or has an aura on it. Now, that's not all that hard of a requirement to meet, but it is a requirement to meet, and that also means that you can only activate this during combat. And more specifically, actually, during your own combat, and again, you've got to be attacking with that modified creature. Now, I'll go through some examples of some other cards that might be able to help you out this modified requirement. Obviously, the first most obvious one, though, is probably just, hey, okay, I've got my Swiftfoot Boots or my Lightning Greaves or whatnot. I equip a creature, I attack with it. Cool. That's a modified creature, and that's probably what's going to happen most of the time with this. Though, again, you probably need to include more than just that in your deck to ensure that you can hit that. But of course, some other types of cards that you might want to consider are cards that actually give counters, or get counters, or whatnot, like Forge of Heroes, Tauren Mauler, and Metallic Mimic. Forge of Heroes has tap for a colorless, and tap choose target commander that enters the battlefield this turn, put a +1 counter on it if it's a creature, and a loyalty counter on it if it's a planeswalker. So yeah, if you're planning on getting Goro out and actually swinging with Goro, getting counters onto your commander can actually help you have that modified requirement met. Or, a creature that might get counters on itself, like Tauren Mauler, that can actually be a heavy hitter as well. It has, whenever an opponent casts a spell, you may put a +1 counter on Tauren Mauler. So maybe you've got creatures in this deck that actually, are aggressive and, want counters on them. Or something like Metallic Mimic. That is a 2/1 that has when it enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. It's the chosen type to other types. And most importantly, each creature you control with the chosen type enters the battlefield with an initial +1 counter on it. This one can be very effective if you go in like a Dragons or Spirits build with this deck, because again, the tokens that you're going to be making are Dragon Spirits, so they can get bigger as well and be modified too. Regardless, yeah, outside of +1 counters, obviously just also include equipment in the deck, and auras are a bit more kind of risky, so if you do want to do an aura build, go for it. But yeah, most likely you're going to be choosing between equipment or counters or a combination of both. Regardless, one combo that Eddie did bring up with this commander I definitely want to point out with Mana Echoes and Chromatic Orrery. Mana Echoes, an incredibly broken and expensive card, is an enchantment that costs 2 red and says whenever a creature enters the battlefield, you may add an amount of colors equal to the number of creatures you control that share a creature type with it. So essentially, the more and more dragons or dragon spirits or whatever you want to call them get into play, the more mana that you get when you activate your commander and get another one into play. And then Chromatic Aura is a legendary artifact that costs 7, and it says you may spend mana as though mana of any color. So essentially, once you get enough of those dragon spirits in play for that activation, you can utilize Chromatic Orrery to filter that mana that you're getting from Mana Echoes to then make another one, and another one, and another one, so on and so forth. Essentially, again, getting an infinite number of dragon spirits, although you actually, in Magic, you have to choose a number. So let's say 1 trillion. Cool, you got 1 trillion. Now, obviously, that doesn't just win you the game there on its own, because, those dragons aren't coming into play tapped and attacking. You're just getting them into play during combat. So, yeah, there's plenty of ways to win either from there or actually in combination with this, too. Regardless, again, if you've got the budget for it, something to consider with this commander. And again, thank you, Eddie, for pointing this out. Now, other things to consider with this commander, and actually things that can win you the game in combination with that combo, are cards like Wear Ancient's Dread and Warstorm Surge. Wear Ancient's Dread is an enchantment that costs 4 and a red. Says whenever a creature with power 5 or greater enters the battlefield under your control, you may have Wear Ancient's Dread deal 5 damage to our creature or player. So now whenever any of those dragons comes into play, you just get to ping something for 5, because again, obviously they meet that requirement of having 5 power. And Warstorm Surge, in this case, essentially does the exact same thing. It's an enchantment that costs 5 and red. Says whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, deals damage equal to its power to any target. Again, those dragon spirits have 5 power, so cool, ping something for 5. Now, obviously, you can also make this into a tribal deck, utilizing some cards like Crucible of Fire, Scourge of Valkis, and Dragon Tempest to lean into that dragon aspect. And actually, Crucible of Fire can help make Warstorm Surge even more effective. It says dragon creatures you control get +3/+3. So now instead of your dragons being 5/5s, they are 8/8s, and again, in combination with Warstorm Surge, that's a lot of damage you're dishing out. And speaking of dishing out damage, there is Scourge of Valkis, which has whenever it or the dragon enters the battlefield under your control, deals X damage to any target Rex the number of dragons you control. And Dragon Tempest is essentially an enchantment that can help us out in a very similar way. Now, it also does give our creatures with flying essentially haste when they enter the battlefield, though again, if we are making dragons with our commander, that doesn't really help us out all that much, because again, well, they're coming in during combat, and haste isn't really going to help them out unless they have a tap ability. But speaking of haste and tap abilities, Again, keep in mind that our commander can already very easily give all of our creatures haste. So obviously you can consider creatures that utilize tap abilities, and you can utilize those tap abilities right away, like, Platinum Mirror, which can tap for colorless, or Elena, who can tap for even more. She has tap and amount of red equal to the greatest power among creatures you control that enter the battlefield this turn. And again, with this deck, this is essentially, hey, you get a, 5 power Dragon Spirit into play. Cool. Tap this, activate your commander again. And of course, there are plenty of other tap effects from there that you can consider with a commander like this. Regardless, yeah, again, if this is a real spoiler, again, Goro-Goro is a very interesting design. Our very first, again, I am assuming, our very first Goblin Samurai, a very low to the ground commander that can be very aggressive, grant haste, cares about modified creatures again, so that's probably either equipped or with counters on them, and maybe ors if you really want to. And yeah, there's some Dragon Spirit elements in there as well, where you can just make a giant token army, dish out a lot of damage with things like Warstorm Surge. There's a lot of possibilities with this commander, and I am really excited about it. But again, like I mentioned, potential spoilers, so please, please, please take all of this with a grain of salt and come to your own conclusions. And when it comes to the actual spoiler season, which I believe is going to start up on January 27th, we will see if this and all the other potential spoilers that we've seen so far are actually legitimate. So make sure you stay tuned to this channel because, again, potentially we're going to see even more potential spoilers in the meantime. And yes, obviously stay tuned to this channel during the actual spoiler season where I'll be talking about confirmed spoilers and, really exciting quick takes. And with that, the show is coming to a close, so it's my turn to hear from you. So in the comments below, let me know what your thoughts on this episode are, and as always, thanks again and have a good one.